From New York City to Los Angeles, Powered Up Talk Radio is giving women of all ages permission to live the life they'd always dreamed of. Here are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin.
Hey everybody, this is Sandra Beck and I'm here with Linda Franklin, and this is another episode of Powered Up Talk Radio. And we're going to be visiting today with Lisa Transcendence Brown, and we're going to talk about how do you raise, keep, stay in your consciousness in the middle of linear combat. And welcome to the show, ladies. One of the things that happened to me this week was there was some parent drama, chaos, whatever it is, around the sports of middle school, and things were broken and names were called. And as everybody spun out of control, I kind of sat there going, first of all, it was unreal for me. But second of all, I was criticized for not kind of jumping into the fray, having an opinion, calming things down. I just kind of sat there and watched it happen around me. And so I would love to talk about today, how do you stay in your consciousness in the middle of chaos or combat?
That's beautiful. And Linda brought up some other stuff she wants to talk about, so we're going to put it all in here. Hi guys, everybody. I love doing this with you. Thank you so much. I noticed we're missing Fred again today, so love goes out to Fred.
Fred, Fred, we got to send Fred some energy.
We will always send Fred some love and tell Fred thank you. He introduced us, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So look, kind of awesome. Okay, so this is a really important topic because I'm going to say this to you, Sandra. In the old days, you would have jumped in there.
Yes.
That's because that means that you've shifted your level of consciousness you're functioning from to a higher state of consciousness, and now you're not letting your ego. We jump in there, fight or flight. We jump in there, we need to win a battle. We jump in there to engage. And this is about disengaging. And a lot of people don't understand that when we start, and a lot of words I use, they're not judgments, or nobody's better than anybody else. It's a process that we get into that's vibrationally energetic and all this stuff. So the words we use are to describe a process that all of us go through. We're all these things. It's really understanding how everything works and letting go of all the judgment and the comparison and the finger pointing and all that kind of stuff, which is the unconscious realities and all. And really taking our power back and standing as love. Love is power when you stand as love.
Mm.
And so a lot of people think love is something else, and it is. It's very soft, it's very beautiful, it's very kind, it's very respectful, but it's also a powerful force. And so those of us, if you will, including our company today, when we are coming from our highest place of love, we're the power. You're not succumbing to fear. You're not lowering and dropping in vibration. You're not going back into survival and root chakra programming. You're not going unconscious anymore. You're holding love as your new reality, and you're choosing where you're going to put your energy, what you're going to support, what you're going to align with. The words I'm going to use are about alignment and resonance. Everything is vibrational and energy. Okay, so we use words to describe. What you're doing, and before we started recording, we talked about this, I'm going to bring it back up, is that you're becoming one of our roles, and we have many roles. You know, I fulfill a bazillion roles through every little thing. I'm just consciously aware of all those things, and I do it consciously and intentionally and purposefully as love here. That's our roles, is to be the highest, brightest light in the room, to share light in every way, to connect as light, and to bring forth all new realities that are much more conscious than our previous realities were. And that's everybody's role here. You know, it doesn't matter how we do it. Everybody gets caught up in the how. Well, the how is being it, living it fully.
Okay.
That's the embodiment process. And so if you are not being really real, there's no fake, there's no pretense, there's no pretending, there's no putting on a front, there's no worrying about what everybody thinks about you like the old days were. This is about being really real.
Okay.
And opening our heart and sharing the beauty that's available when we all unite and come together. It's unity consciousness, it's love consciousness. And it's done through DNA rewriting. It's done through a lot of, and stabilizing means that when everything goes down, You maintain a state of consciousness. You're the stability in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You are then transmitting a higher vibrational frequency that then goes out, and that if each person is conscious and present, then it'll assist them with maintaining a higher state of consciousness. If they're not and they're engaging in the ego emotions of battling and fighting, then they'll play that whole reality out. A lot of people, and we're going to come back to this in a minute because we talked about this before, is a lot of people don't understand 3D, 4D, 5D, and all this kind of stuff that we use as terms to describe a vibrational frequency and a bandwidth and levels of consciousness we function from. We use that information to describe processes that people can understand. 3D isn't, a lot of people think 3D is the physical reality. Okay, all of that has changed. That's not true anymore. 3D is your experience.
Okay.
3D is your level of consciousness you function from, fear, survival. 3D is give our power away. 3D is suppression, oppression of our spirit, of our soul, of our beauty, of our magnificence. 3D is the opposite of 5D, which is love and unity and kindness and compassion and respect. 4D is where everybody stays, which is where I describe it the way I describe it. But it's basically purgatory. It's bardo. It's where everybody stays to work everything out, to figure everything out, to decide, one foot in each world. It's where we work through our own battle inside and then choose. Oops, everything's blowing. Bear with me. Basically, that's where conscious choice comes in. That's where each person starts to become conscious. That's where everybody starts to see the old illusions. That's where everybody sees all the BS. That's where everybody sees it all, but then has to start consciously choosing a higher vibrational timeline, a higher and then learn. You have to learn everything all over again. You have to learn how to live your life a whole new way. And so there's a whole bunch of part of that process I'm going to skip over right now.
Okay.
But if everybody will shift how they perceive, instead of going 3D reality, call it a 3D experience. 3D is ego, period. 3D is separation. 3D is suppression. 3D is fear mongering. 3D is fear using, what's the words I use? Hold on. Fear tactics, manipulation, narcissism. It's all of that stuff. Okay. Now that's where everybody will live until everybody consciously chooses, it's called free will, to no longer live that way and allow that in their own personal reality by aligning their life on whatever words you want to use, universal level, higher self, soul level. Doesn't matter because they all end up being the same thing in the long run. They're just words we identify with.
Okay.
And so each person has to go inside, find that connection, make that connection, and establish that connection and live as light. Literally. When you're standing in the middle of the room and everybody else is going at it, you'll look like the person who doesn't care, when in essence, we care differently.
Lisa, can I just ask a question real quick?
Sure.
What if all those things that you just said, fear, narcissism, ego, blah, 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 what if you personally are the target of somebody who lives in that world?
Okay, so here's the thing. There is no one answer to all of this. So our human aspect is going to give me the one answer. So I have to answer it from many perspectives because you have to understand how the ego works. And so part of our role in awakening is observing the ego and learning how these things work. Linda, the fast answer to that is all of that stuff is occurring so that you will stand in your power and say no more.
Yes.
It's called learning to love yourself and respect yourself, where you won't accept that as acceptable behavior. It's not acceptable behavior. You, and I'm going to say you because you brought it up, but it's all of us. I had to go through it too. I went through extreme narcissistic stuff, but in the long run, I didn't understand I was the narcissist, and I had to break all that programming too, because we have all of this inside of us. We just don't understand it at the time. Narcissism is extreme. Now, when I'm using these words, this is, Linda, I have to be careful when I just say things because the human ego aspect loves to point the finger out there.
Yeah, right.
When in essence, if you look at them as a mirror of what you're holding, a mirror of what you're allowed, they are there to show you how much you love and respect yourself.
Wow.
I agree with you 100%.
It will continue to happen until you choose you and will no longer accept that behavior. The answer is no.
And it'll ramp up and ramp up and ramp up and keep slapping you on the side of the head until
it gets your attention and you choose.
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing about it is that's I call it frequency loops. That's a 3D timeline. You're in a timeline. So here I want to do this because I'm doing this with a lot of people lately. 3D, 4D, 5D, for the sake of understanding right now, they're timelines. They're not physical realities.
Okay.
Okay. So if you shift, this is really important because Sandra, I think you said, I don't know what a timeline is.
Yeah.
A timeline, but that's okay. Look at it from this standpoint. It's a frequency bandwidth. It's an unconscious frequency bandwidth where everybody's function at that level of consciousness. 3D is a level of consciousness.
Okay.
3D is a level of unconsciousness. It's the ego's level of unconsciousness. It's separation. It's narcissism. It's all these things. Now Linda, y'all know me, I bebop all over around.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is to get conscious within the moment and realize you are experiencing an unconscious reality.
Okay.
Most people are unaware they're in an unconscious reality. They have no clue because their emotions are so big. They're acting out the emotions of being hurt and blamed and screwed. Right now, there's a lot of persecution going on, which is a distortion of Christed consciousness and stuff. So when you start to understand how all this works, Linda, when you're in that, is to become so fully present within the moment and conscious within yourself that you can see. That your heart can open and realize, oh, I'm going to experience a karmic timeline, which is 3D.
Yes.
3D is a karmic timeline, period. It's a frequency loop that goes round and round and round until it breaks, dissolves, or we shift. The stronger our ego, the more we break. Because we won't listen, our heart can't open because we're in fear, our heart is closed, and we're playing the reality out. We're running around telling the stories, needing to be validated for being victims. But that is a part of the process. When we first start to wake up, we hold so much emotion that we're getting it out. We're getting it out. So there is going to be an entire 3D frequency bandwidth of people running around being victims because they're going to be coming into their power. And they're trying to get the victim energy out, but they're unaware they're in a unconscious timeline playing out an illusion, if you will.
Do you know what helps me, Lisa?
Yeah.
For anything these days, I never think of myself as a victim, and I haven't for God knows how many years, but I look at it that I planned this. Before I came into this body, I had a script, I had a play, and this was going to be my life. Yes. And because I planned it, and because I needed it, my soul needed to learn these lessons, then nothing is out of play, nothing is out of bounds. I made this happen, so instead of being a victim or being, okay, what am I to learn from this? What am I to learn from this? I don't want to repeat it, so let me get rid of that part.
Perfect. I love that. Well, and I started using the word I chose on a soul level, and it frees you from the victim mentality. And I know you say, Linda, I don't claim being a victim. Us really strong people don't claim being victims. We don't even like that word.
No, it's a weak word, right?
It's a weak word, but let me tell you this. When you said to me, what if people are doing this to you? That's a victim mentality.
Okay, I was just, yes, okay.
It doesn't matter if we think. This is about understanding how ego realities work. Unconscious reality, there's always a victim and a perpetrator. Always. Yeah. That's how duality works, is somebody did something to somebody. That's how the whole reality plays out.
Good guys, bad guys.
Good guys, bad guys. And so what will happen, and I'll tell you this, when you're shifting to a higher dimensional reality from within yourself, a higher state of consciousness, and you're bringing your body through with you.
Yeah.
So and that's the challenging part, is your body has to clear all the unconscious programming. It has to wake up. It has to come into a higher state of consciousness, which is clearing the immense everything that was inside of it. And that's where a lot of people are going through right now, is all the body stuff. As their light body wakes up, as their soul body wakes up, as their energy body wakes up, as their photon. It's got a bazillion words we use, okay? That's important to realize, Linda, is to say that's called the divine plan. And everybody is being moved right now. We went through a thing the other day with everybody. The entire earth is going through this, but it's going through it in different frequency bandwidths and dimensions. And so not everybody's going through the exact same thing. There will be people over here going through this experience, people over there going through this experience. These will have no clue what these are going through. And it's really important to understand that this is done vibrationally. It doesn't matter where your body's located. In a way it does, in a way it doesn't. Because certain areas are denser. Certain areas carry a lot of stuff. And so our bodies are actually located wherever that certain things geometrically are located in our body for that to occur.
You mean located physically, like New York City versus Hawaii? Yeah.
The energy of New York City is going to be very dense versus part of the reason my universe said you have to move. I had achieved a light body phase vibrationally with my physical body, and it's like this can't sustain your light body anymore. You actually have to physically move so you can fulfill your roles. That I had to move here in order to fulfill service to humanity and be supported vibrationally. My light body did, but I had to achieve it first. Otherwise, the vibration of this island is so high, it'll spit people right back off. It will. There are certain things here that you have to understand about the energy of the island and the purpose it serves. You have to become one with this island. You have to love Gaia. You have to contribute. You have to be a part. You have to support. A lot of people come here to take to get themselves to a certain place, and this is not a take reality anymore. So there are a lot of things that have to do with this island, that this island holds such a high vibration of what it requires. And even this island's going through a whole lot right now because there's a lot of stuff that wasn't vibrationally aligned. And it's a part of the process. We know all this. We understand all of this. And we understand all of our purposes here, which is beautiful. Vibrationally, yes, I was in a location that I had achieved on my own, my highest vibrational frequency possible in order to complete my own physical body ascension process. I had to move my body. And so physical body ascension is a bit different than ascension of consciousness and living from an ascended state. Your body still has to go through, and it takes a few years. It's not an overnight process.
Now, what about, I think of my kids, my kids are 12 and 15, and, are they, they come
everybody and everything is going through this.
So everybody, the kids are going through it. And
nothing is exempt. Yep. Everything. And I'm going to come back to that, but I want to go back to Sandra with what you said earlier, because it was important to explain. When you were being a stabilizer, I want everybody to see through frequencies and bandwidths right now. Okay. 3D is in a conscious timeline, in a conscious reality. It's your experience. It will represent your hell. Ego represents hell. It's not fun. It's not awesome. And so if you can actually when you start understanding everything in metaphors versus linear, fixed mentalities, metaphors are really important because they start transitioning each person over to start to read the energy of things.
Okay.
Which is really important because we have to unaffix from fixed linear. 5D is not linear. It's all about energy. And so metaphors in the fourth dimension, we start seeing in metaphors and energetically, and you start correlating in symbols and signs and all this kind of stuff. When you were standing there, each one of us become the stabilizer. We become the frequency holders. Every person on this planet becomes a light keeper that is fulfilling their higher roles here. Okay, so everybody's in a different place of their own evolutionary journey. This is about a higher consciousness humanity. This is about re-educating humanity through higher states of consciousness so everybody understands our capabilities. It's beautiful. Each one of us are anchor points for the energetic grids of New Earth. And so you standing there in the middle of that room and me standing here in my reality, and Linda, when you're holding your highest place and you're standing over there, look at each one of us as the frequency, the wireless transmitters and receivers, and we become the poles. We become the networking system of New Earth. All of us holding this higher vibrational frequency, yeah. We're transmitting and receiving constantly. It overrides the frequency bandwidth of the lower dimensional realms. And so every person holding a higher state of consciousness on this planet, we all link up through those energetic frequencies and those codes being transmitted. Mm-hmm. As every person understands the importance is holding that higher state of consciousness, that's how the physical reality starts to be realigned. Okay. That's how the physical reality starts to be brought into a higher state of consciousness. There will become a point where you realize you're a transmitter of light. All you have to do is walk through people. You don't have to do anything. You're transmitting, you're affecting the codes in their field. You're affecting everything. And when we connect, we're exchanging codes, light codes. It's beautiful. Once we're able to maintain and sustain that higher level of consciousness, if you will, which is done from deep, deep, deep inside of us. We have to go deep inside to connect. The deeper we go, the more expanded we become, the higher the vibration, the easier it is to maintain and sustain. But there's a lot of things we have to go through to be able to accomplish all of that, okay?
Lisa, one thing, and then I'll let, when you're going through this now, becoming kind of electrical poles, you know, wherever you stand, how important is it for the Andaras and the crystals and all of those things that are so energetic to Mother Earth? How should we be like inundating ourselves with all of that?
It depends on what, okay, so here's the thing. Everything we use is a tool.
Yes.
So each person, I learned through the years. In the early days, my universe said to me, my little human. When I say my universe said to me, my little humans, once you become the whole universe, it's just you hear, see, feel everything simultaneously, and there's no separation. In the beginning, the words were your light body is your priority. Nothing else matters. And it was about getting my vibration up, getting my vibration up, getting my vibration up so that I could be of service, getting my vibration up so I could hold this, get my vibration up. One of the things that does that for us is color. Nature. Get out in nature, everyone. It will bring you into a higher vibration naturally, organically, easily. In the beginning, I had to learn to utilize nature so that I could achieve that vibrational frequency of oneness with the earth. And so a lot of people don't understand the importance of nature until they start feeling like, I need to get out in nature, I need to get out in nature, I need to get out in nature. And that's when they start to understand how important this is. It's because their vibration, their body, their energy body needs it. So I'm going to answer you, Linda. Give me a moment. I got to, 12,000 things. But here's the thing. Through the years, I started understanding how to maintain a higher state of consciousness, and I started gridding my home. My universe said to me, grid I started in the beginning with a little bitty altar, and I put crystals on it, and it was a little bitty thing in my room. Okay. And so
I have one of those. That's the only reason I laugh.
That's why I'm saying this.
Altar by the fireplace.
Okay. So I'm going to explain a process, Linda, because it's important to understand the process. This isn't linear at all. Okay. In the beginning for me, when you start to notice the place that makes you feel better, the places that bring you peace, the places where everything is calm and simple. This is a very simple, believe it or not, it sounds complicated. Our lives are very simple. I live the simplest to the human. It would be bored. You'd be bored to death, except we're creating, and then we're in service and we're doing all these things. But there's no chaos in my reality. Well, the human is addicted to chaos. And so in my reality, the human would be bored to death. It's always out there seeking something different. And so for a long time, I would bring people in and present them with the opportunity. And they're like, oh no, I need to go to here. And they can't sit still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can't be alone with their thoughts.
Right.
There's so much judgment and so much avoidance and so much, I don't want to feel that. I had one person look at me and say, I was fine until I met you and you kept asking me how I felt. I don't like it anymore. Because all of a sudden, all the feelings are coming up and they're like, I don't want this. And so the next few years was avoiding feeling for that person. And we respect that. Everything serves a vibrational purpose. And so when we can look at everything and see the purpose that it serves, it's going to be determined by our priorities. This is a reprioritization of everybody's reality. My priority is going to be very different than an ego human's reality is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
I went through the heavy duty ego programming. I went through all the other realities. So this is why I can understand all this. My priority is holding my highest vibration so that I can be of service to humanity and assist with ushering in all the new earth realities and a reality built on love and unity consciousness, and everything that supports that is a priority in my reality. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it's crystals, in the beginning it's crystals because the human body is carbon based, so it'll work with crystals first. Andaras are much later because the human body won't be able to even identify, because Andaras work with Christed consciousness. Well, a lot of people aren't ready for Christed consciousness. They're just learning to love themselves.
Yes.
And so I don't want to get so specific on the thing.
I sleep with them under my pillow every night now, and I'm having amazing dreams.
Right, because they do assist in huge ways if your heart is ready for it. And that's the thing about Andaras, your heart has to be ready. Your heart has to be open. You have to be ready for them, or otherwise you'll look at them and go, well, there's nothing there. Because your heart energy activates them. And so it's a cyclical feedback loop where they're ignited by your light and your love and your openness and your readiness. So if you don't have any of that stuff, then they're going to sit there dormant like you do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But that's the thing. But crystals are different. Okay. It doesn't really matter what we use. Eventually there will come a point in the journey that you won't need anything at all. You will have achieved a certain vibration within yourself. You will have come into oneness on a soul level within yourself. And you actually will let all those things, you'll give your crystals away. You'll realize you don't need oracle cards anymore. But in the beginning, these are tools to assist us. And I used every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then I reached a point within myself that I was one with everything. I didn't need a thing anymore, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When you reach that oneness state inside of you, things don't matter. It isn't until later that you start to understand how to utilize things and how you can use things to make a difference here. You can use things to bring more light. You can use things when each person comes together and bands together and we all use our things, whether it be money or knowledge, that is a force to be reckoned with.
Interesting.
And so when you understand that money is love, money is power, well, in 3D, it was misused and abused. But in 5D, money is still power. The only difference is we pull it and bring it together. So we're a powerful force on the planet. We use it to support each other. Money is inspiration. Money, so how we see is very different. We understand the purpose and the gifts that everything is. Everything. Linda, everything that opens our heart and brings more love through us, more peace through us is important. It doesn't matter what it is. We are to surround ourselves with it. We are to utilize it until we don't need it anymore. And then what happens is now, let's say you've got a bunch of crystals and Andaras would be different. So I want to put them over to the side.
Well, could you, just for some people that don't know, could you just explain the difference?
It's a vibrational thing.
Okay.
Carbon-based human body won't understand or connect with Andaras because carbon-based human body still works with crystals because the crystals have a different carbon imprint.
I hear you, yeah.
So it's an atomic level thing.
Okay.
Okay. And so it basically has to do with the atomic spin rate. And those of us who work with them, we can tell the difference. So when I hold each piece, or I connect my consciousness with each piece, I can tell the vibration of each thing. And so I work with everything myself personally to check the vibration and the energy and all this stuff, because each piece has a different vibration. And so it's understanding your whole reality is vibrational and energetic. But to our typical human aspect, our carbon-based physical body, the amount of light that we hold, or density that we hold, is that in the beginning, we all start working with crystals because they are close into our carbon makeup on an atomic level. Okay. So in the beginning for me, I wasn't drawn to crystals. I wanted nothing to do with them. And then one day you wake up and it's like, oh, crystals. And you have this new obsession. Okay. Everything will be a new obsession, by the way. Okay. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden you're obsessed with the stupidest things. And it's like, nobody cares. And they all think you're crazy, but they don't understand that your consciousness is waking up. Your heart is opening, and you're coming to feel love in simple ways and joy in simple ways. I see you, Linda. I know. You know I'm bebopping around. Go ahead. I'm going to still finish that one, but go ahead. Throw it in there.
When you're in that you're using you're using the Andaras, and you're sleeping with them, and you feel that your heart is way open. I can tell because I still cry all the time, and because it's all coming up.
Good job.
Does that get your Merkaba starting to move?
Yes. There are many things that do. I did my entire journey. I used to say I basically fell into this and flipped upside down on my whole world and everything, because a lot of us will come into this where a whole world collapses and everything flips upside down, and we're drugged through it up inside out and upside down for a while. Okay. That's a part of the initial awakening process and the pole flipping that we talked about. But my entire experience, somebody asked me something the other day, and I'm like, I don't know. I did this whole journey spontaneously. My whole journey has been done through my own experiences. That's where my understandings came from. You gain access to see and understand everything through the actual experience. And so part of my role was to bring through the new information on the Merkaba way back then, which is the divine feminine way of experiencing and being and understand it versus trying to do it with your linear head. Okay. And so there are many ways to activate your Merkaba. One is to do the opposite of the ego. And so I'm going to explain, because you mentioned Merkaba, this is going to benefit a lot of people. So let me say this really quick. Okay. I do this with everybody. All right. So pretend this is your masculine, feminine, human, because you have human, masculine, feminine, left side, right side, and you get into all these little quadrants and hemispheres and all this stuff. But all of that merges into one, and there won't be any separation between those anymore. On a human level, your whole reality is backwards. It's the opposite of a soul level reality. The ego is the opposite of the soul. That's your separation. And so this is about dissolving the ego, understanding the ego, loving the ego. It's not a battle of the ego. It's an understanding that the ego is a little child that hasn't grown up yet. The ego is the one that didn't get enough love. The one that's like, that's my toy. That's mine. It's selfish. It's greedy. It doesn't know how to play with others. It's all these. If you understand the ego, it's manipulation. It's the little child crying, "Mommy, do this for me."
Tantrum.
I mean, it's everything. Yes. It's a distorted version of everything. When you understand this, then it's about giving your ego some love and recognizing the purpose that the ego served. In the beginning for me, it was telling my ego, I got this, I'm okay, I don't need to be protected anymore. My ego was trying to protect me from these invisible beliefs. And so when I started realizing my ego was in fight or flight and protection mode, and I was in survival mode, and that I was always, this is a part of the immune system. This is why everybody's immune system is going through so much. It's all ego breaking down. And so there's a lot of stuff here. When you realize your ego perceives everything as a threat, everything.
Yeah.
Then basically you can open your heart, become conscious within the moment. We all have to be fully present within the moment to do this. If you're off in every other story in la la land and what happened and who did what to who, you're not present. If you're still pointing the finger, you're not present. Your heart isn't open. It's about really getting present and letting everything fall away. And really becoming conscious within the moment and realizing all of that stuff isn't even happening. It's all your energetic crap going on. You know, it's all this turmoil we create and all that kind of stuff. And so the Merkaba is activated when you do the opposite of what your human ego wants. So when you're human, when I started understanding this, and I'm going to do this in a minute, but I'm going to explain this first. It's because we're all visual. So doing it visually helps. Okay. If your ego way is to cower down and go to fear, you go, no, I'm not going to play out the fear reality anymore. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say no. I'm not going to let fear rule my reality anymore. Okay. And so it's understanding your ego so you can choose consciously, so that you can choose the action from your highest place. And it's called conscious choice, which humans call it free will. I don't use those words anymore. That's an old ego. There's a lot of old ego connotations and words that we throw away because they still lend to limited mindsets and lack of power and stuff. Okay. So now let me play with this for a moment. Masculine, feminine, going round and round and round. And it's, let's say it spins really, really fast, out of control. I'm spinning out. I'm chaotic. I'm going crazy. I'm off in la la land and every other reality. I'm not here. Okay. All of a sudden something happens and your heart opens and you bring everything to present moment and you go, no. So what happens is that your whole life of doing everything backwards, literally, when we start to wake up to ascension, there's a difference in awakening, ascension, remembering. All these words are different phases. They're all different processes. They're not the same thing.
Okay.
And so I was completely asleep, if you will. I came in, I was conscious for like 2 seconds, and then I went deep asleep. But through different periods of my life, you become conscious and you're doing certain things you don't understand. Okay. But basically, I was unconscious for 35, 40 years of my life. Now, it didn't mean I was a bad person. It just meant that I was completely unconscious and I didn't have a clue. Everything I did was unconscious because that's all I knew. I was running on unconscious programming, everything that I'd been told. You know, you get into all the story of all this stuff, but that doesn't matter anymore. When you start to actually awaken to the ascension process, then you're going to be coming out of that entire process. And it means reversing everything, doing the opposite of that. And so ascension is ascending your consciousness. You are returning. You're not going anywhere. You're returning to your higher states of consciousness, and everything that you forgot was pure. We disconnected from the purity of love, which is the light of our soul. We disconnected source consciousness. We disconnected. We fell from consciousness. We did, from the stars, all these different things that you will actually have a memory of falling when you start going in it, and it's trippy. And it's confusing, and your body will feel like you're falling. There's a lot of weird things that start to happen when you start remembering. When you remember, it's an actual experience of bilocating your consciousness, if you will. And I'm going to use that word, but even that is a different version of the truth. Okay. So I know, let me come back to Linda. Merkaba. So here's the thing. My whole human reality was unconscious and backwards and asleep. And then all of a sudden, my heart starts to open. All the suppression, all the oppression, all of the judgment, all that hurt, all that blame, all that I was a victim, this happened to me, starts coming up. That's the awakening process.
Right.
Okay. That you're waking up, your body's waking up, your body's in a rapid release. We will go through an aging acceleration process that will de-age, will age. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this for a while, and then that will shift. Your light body actually activates a different part of the process. Completely unconscious. And then all of a sudden I start saying, no, no more. I'm going to start coming from love for myself. I'm not going to accept that as reality anymore. And what happens is that really fast spin of unconsciousness, that's spinning out, that craziness starts to slow down. And you go, no, I'm going to come from love. No. And every time you say no, it slows down a little bit more till you come to what we call 0 point. And you've said no. Now, when you do the opposite, it reverses field spin. So masculine, feminine have different energies. So feminine victim whines, masculine victim complains and bitches and moans and groans. They have different energies, but they're both still victims in their story. Okay. And so understanding the difference in the masculine and the feminine will come as you observe one's soft, one's aggressive. And then when you get into narcissistic passive aggressive, you have both soft and aggressive and underlying tones and you know, all this kind of stuff. And so when you start actually paying attention, you can see all these things energetically. Once you've said no enough and you go, you know what, this is my new reality. You come from your highest place. I'm not going to succumb to the fear. I'm not going to, you actually reverse field spin that energy. And it starts, I can't remember which way I was spinning, but every time you say no, you bring it to a halt. You shift the energy and you start going the other direction. Your Merkaba starts building. And so when you have completely aligned your whole reality in your life with love, then this will completely spin so huge that it will merge and it'll become one field. And then it gets so vast that all other times fall away. Nothing exists anymore. You won't even remember your name.
And when that starts to happen, is your body encased in this whole Merkaba? So your body is inside of it.
You will feel taller. It happened to me over years, and each time became more and more substantial and profound until my Merkaba completed I was online writing when I went through it every time. You can actually go back to 2013 and over the whole year I would write. My universe was like, you have to write your experiences because this is for humanity. You have to write while you go through it. I would lose consciousness at the end of it a lot of times. You'll heat up, your temperature changes, sounds start just changing and distorting, all kinds of weird stuff starts to happen. You will feel very high and light, but then you will also feel there will be times that I call it suspended animation because your field will be spinning so fast and merge into such expansion that it'll feel like you're floating when you're walking. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And each time is different because your Merkaba actually builds itself. It builds itself, and then it'll get me into template building. So that's a little bit different. But the Merkaba is a template, a geometric template that actually is your ascension vehicle that brings you through to the higher realms with your physical body. And it occurs every time you say no to the old and you consciously choose your new, you activate your Merkaba. And so this is a complete rewriting of your whole reality, though.
When you were going through this, did you have a lot of what I call forward thinking, that you saw things happening before they actually happened?
Oh, yeah. Because, okay, so here's the thing. The higher the state of consciousness, the more you see everything vibration and you get to see things in advance.
Okay. Did it affect your eyesight at all?
Yes. Your vision will go. Because it affects.
I shouldn't, Fred's going through that right now. And it's...
it affects everything.
It affects everything, yeah.
I have people right now with so much collapse going on, I'm inundated with everybody's world collapsing. Well, if you will go back and read my writings, all month, it was been preparing people for what's about to come. We see everything before it ever happens. And so I will write things saying this is what's about to go down, but it's multidimensional. Mm-hmm. So 3D and 4D will experience a certain reality, but 5D and above will experience completely different realities, except where we still hold that programming for that consciousness of that collective in our body, we will still have to clear that when that collective is going through it. And so we understand that. So if we hit, like last week, we hit like a massive clearing process. It's a cellular cleanse. And I had just written for everybody that we're going to be increasing ego death.
Right.
Okay. And because we're in high energies of the Phoenix, which is basically rising from the ashes where everything gets burned down. I mean, literally. And then, but it's also resurrection energies, which April every year is dedicated. The only things that used to be a weekend, now it's the whole month. And so the time frames are shifting, and the amount of energy that because the vibration of the earth, we just achieved a new vibration of the planet. Now we were able to maintain a new one. So we have a new baseline for everything. 3D and 4D is going to go through pure hell. Remember, it's not the physical reality, it's levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say 3D, I'm referring to levels of consciousness.
Right.
Okay. Your Merkaba, everything that occurs for you when you are conscious, when you are fully conscious, your consciousness is doing everything for you. When you are fully conscious, your field is building. When you are fully conscious, you are engaged on a consciousness level and you're in unison from inside of you. So you are moving in flow with your universe. You are listening. You're paying attention. You're consciously choosing your reality. You're realigning everything. If something comes up in your reality that isn't aligned from the highest place, you look at it and you have to make a decision to what's most appropriate right then. It's not something you pre-decide.
Okay.
Your consciousness is going to be relative to the current moment in your actual experience. Your conscious choices, your conscious action, your energy, where you come from. Each dimension has a different level of consciousness that we function from. That's the only difference. And if you will, each dimension gives us greater capabilities to do more here.
Well,
And so, go ahead, sweetheart.
Since we're going through this on such a massive global level,
Yes.
Especially with the body changes, because we've talked about this a lot, and people at the beginning get afraid of that because they don't know what's happening.
Right.
They go to their doctor doesn't know what's happening, and there's no common ground. So when are the doctors ever going to wake up to what's happening, so that when someone comes in with, oh my God, I just lost this, or this feels funny, or this, and they don't have an answer, they're going to have an answer?
Okay. I got to give you multidimensional answers. Okay. There isn't just one. There's a lot of things. Okay. So right now I have people that I've partnered with all over the world. And I have a girl that I work with, and we are actually right in the middle. I'm writing a website for all the medical facilities and all this stuff that actually teaches on the light body and photonic DNA. I'm writing stuff for the quantum, the scientists and all this stuff. A bunch of us are coming together. Like I'm doing a thing next week with a girl who's a seer and a scientist. And so all of us are uniting to bring forth this knowledge and information and package it in a way that assists massive collectives that are ready for this. Here's the key, Linda, not until they're ready.
Yeah, because doctors of all professions, they have an ego that's bigger than the Grand Canyon. So are they going to be willing to accept something new because they haven't been taught this in medical school and that's their Bible?
But hold on, you just your vibration change right there. Pay attention to your energy, what you just did. Listen to what I said, not until they're ready. What gets people ready?
For me, it's personal experience.
There you go. Here's the thing, consciousness is an alternative lifestyle. Let me use those words for a moment. Humans are affixed to the current reality. They don't want the current reality to change. The ego doesn't want change. It will fight this with everything it's got. It won't listen. It is so deeply embedded in unconsciousness. That's the only reality it will accept. Until higher consciousness awakens, which is what's going on for each person right now, within each person, to accept a different reality that doesn't fit into those boxes anymore, then the answer will be no. The answer will be no, because that's all those collectives, it doesn't matter what words you use,
right?
People, humans, that dimension, it doesn't matter what word we use. As long as everybody says we're not willing to accept higher consciousness as a reality, we look like the crazy people. They won't even accept we have spent years putting this information out saying this is what's going down. Until each person's lives is touched or turned upside down or affected by it, human ego won't listen. Guess what's happening? There's no ignoring this anymore. There's no avoiding this. There's no pretending this isn't going down anymore.
Right.
The only thing is that the human ego will still use the old perceptions to try to fix the problem instead of understanding none of that stuff's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's actually got to open up. What gets your heart open? Suffering, hurt, pain,
Trauma,
loss. Okay, here's the key. That's actually necessary for a while, because here's what happens with the human ego. The moment it's not suffering, its heart closes and it goes back to the old reality again.
Mm-hmm.
Until we've suffered enough. Now I'm explaining suffering as a necessity, but then when you get to a certain point, suffering is no longer a necessity anymore. We don't suffer anymore. We don't suffer here. You clear that stuff out of you, and there is no suffering. The only thing you suffer to is being around an ego. That's the hardest part. Seriously. It is pure joy and bliss and magic until you bring the ego into the picture. The ego is the suffering. That's what a lot of people don't understand. And the physical reality is then a mirrored representation of that suffering.
Can you say that again?
Which part?
Just the last part. You're like the mirror. I got the reality.
The physical reality, the experience, is a mirrored representation of a level of consciousness, unconsciousness.
Right.
It's a mirror back to each person of their own level of consciousness they're functioning from. What people don't understand is that the light body in each person's body has woken up. Every person on this earth, their light body has woken up. But until you actually look at the physical body and say, oh, there's a light body, let's understand the light body. The only thing is that, and I'm going to say this, yes, I have doctors, I have chiropractors email me and say, I want to understand more. I want to help my patients. There are people waking up. There are people integrating this into. There are people all over the planet doing this.
Excellent.
When the mass population lets fear of I can't control my body, and that's what the fear is, I can't control my body. It's not let me love and support my body. You know, I had a conversation recently with someone, and every alternative I offered, I got shut down. Well, if you're going to shut me down with the alternatives that support your body, you know what my comment was? You need to love your body. That's what I got shut down for. I went, okay. If I'm telling you your body is exhausted,
right,
you got to love your body, and you're not even open to that, then anything else we say,
right.
And so the thing about it is your light body requires love. Your light body is your soul. It requires your respect. It requires you listen to it. It will actually communicate with you. Your DNA will talk to you. Okay? DNA is communicative. It will actually, you know, I can look at everything and understand it. One, because I went through pretty much 99.9% of all of it. I experienced it myself, so I understand everything. The other part of it is I can see everything in DNA and genetics and all these things, because through higher states of consciousness and quantum, you become a quantum being here. And so everything is physics and it is, you know, everything overlaps. It's all a part of the bigger whole. Mm-hmm. There is no separation between any of this. The only separation is our ego. And so everything is interconnected. Everything is a part of the greater whole. Here's the key, or there's many of them, and these are called key codes. Okay. Every one of us have the template for a higher consciousness humanity in our bodies. That's what's waking up. That's what everybody's trying to suppress. That template for all of the humanitarian codes on this planet or in each person's body. Our human aspect won't love and respect the body and support it and do whatever it takes. It will shut the door every time. It still wants to fit its body back into the box of the old instead of listening and honoring and respecting and making it a priority. Until it's every person's priority, Linda, the alternative is the reality everybody gets.
Mm-hmm.
If we are going to let our egos insist that the old way is the only way, then each person will continue that path until that's not the only way anymore. And that's how this works. Until higher consciousness is embraced as the answers for humanity, not the frou-frou-y crazy stuff. Okay? Until we actually understand what each one of us have the capability to provide. Until we actually understand the simplicity of all of this. It's not complicated. We just have to stop choosing the old ways. And I saw something the other day, which was hilarious, was something floating around, and it was talking about, and I think I might have mentioned this last month with you guys, but it was basically that with the human ego,
Mm-hmm.
it will take a handful of prescriptions. And I did this. This is why I understand. And I had to laugh at it. It'll take a handful of prescriptions that have all these warnings on it saying that can cause this. But it'll take it anyway out of desperation because I don't want to feel or experience that. And that actually suppresses the light body,
Mm-hmm.
which creates more suffering later. Because then you have to detox your body and get your body clean. But the moment somebody is presented with go natural, then it's, oh, let me research that.
Right. That's so true.
Look at the messed up mindsets here of everybody being offered natural things to support the body, but we have to do our research.
Right.
And then let me tell you, we will find every excuse to say no because it doesn't fit in my reality. It doesn't bring the easy way. Give me the easy way to avoid. And the easy way is what causes suffering for each individual person because you're avoiding, you're not listening and loving and allowing your body to raise its vibrational frequency. Your body is anchored in a lower dimension. Literally, it's stuck there. It's begging to get out. And the Merkaba and the light body is how we do this. But if we're not listening and honoring and realizing, here's the key. The human ego won't accept that reality has changed. We don't live in the old realities anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The light body isn't a real thing to the ego. Well, the light body is what runs the body. So if the light body isn't a real thing and we're going to continue to suppress each person's light, what am I saying when I say we're going to suppress each person's light? That's like a big statement within itself.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is our light won't be suppressed anymore. Look around. Okay? It requires the highest level of respect. It requires joy and happiness. It requires unity, love, and consciousness. It requires these things. And anything less than that is what is going to create everybody suffering. The body is screaming for attention for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say this to make a point, Linda. Everything the body goes through, the human will run to find a condition for it. Every one of them are wrong. None of them are true. Because the light body isn't a condition to fix.
Right.
How the light body works is going to be completely different than anything we ever did. You have to understand how photonic light works and DNA evolution works in order to even assist the body. That's why all of us do what we do. I know, Linda, I'm coming. Hold on. It's important to shift our perceptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to shift our belief systems. It's important, and until each person understands the importance of shifting our perceptions and opening up to all this new weird stuff, the alternative is what they get.
Right.
When the hospitals are about to be flooded because this can't be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand when your body breaks out in rashes, it's a detox and it's crystals and they're trying to treat it. People don't understand what any of this is. Only those who have already gone through the experience and have gained access and have access to the knowledge on a multidimensional level can even offer the understanding for this. So basically, Linda, what the earth is going through is a massive shift in consciousness to start to open up, to accept. And until there's enough suffering, the human ego won't accept this.
Right.
As an alternative.
We're in pre-kindergarten. I mean, this is a new reality for the planet. And it's the beginnings.
It is. And the thing about it is the moment that we accept the weird, bizarre, the easier everything gets.
Yes.
The moment that we open our hearts to listen, and more than listen, start to support the knowledge as important, start to support, this is a part of the New Earth networking system, is we understand the importance, and we all start to pool our resources. We all start to make this important. We start sharing the knowledge. We start getting it out there. This is a part of the process for all of us. But what will happen is, because humans judge all of this, they won't even go there. They'll hide it. Okay, so what's going on the planet is there's no more hiding this. This is everybody step up, everybody share the knowledge, everybody come together, we all hold the answers inside of us. We have to stop hiding. We have to come together and support. We have to use our resources. Most people don't understand that New Earth is each one of us fully invested in the new with everything that we have. Those of us who do this, we've invested all of us in everything we have in higher consciousness birth. Our whole life is devoted to this. It's the only thing that matters to us, because we're fulfilling our soul purposes and roles here. And so the human says, oh, it's not worth my money. Well, what did you just say? Your soul isn't worth your money. Right. Really? And so it's really, when my soul and my light body became the most important thing, then I was saying that I was willing to fulfill my higher purposes here. Then each person takes their money and they invest it. And that grows, right? It's no different than investing in the old realities. All you're doing is investing in the new, because it's that important for all of us. This is for humanity. Linda, until there's enough suffering that somebody's heart opens to seek the new information and accept it, to open up, to understand the importance of this, the answer will be no. Right. But what's happening on the planet is that masses are suffering, masses, and now it's going to become more important because there's no old answers, and the old won't fix. Medications will stop working. The light body won't be suppressed anymore, and it will override everything. None of that stuff will work anymore. You don't know how many people I get, and it's like, this stuff isn't working anymore. No, it won't. And the same thing happened for me. Yeah. I was on 30 pills a day, suppressing. I didn't want to feel the pain. Well, guess what happened? I went through the most immense, excruciating pain until it was all gone. Now, or your light body doesn't feel pain like human body. My body doesn't even burn. I poured a whole pot of burning coffee over my hand the other day, and it's so funny because I don't even burn anymore. I don't have physical pain. It's so cool. But I had to clear. My body's been in detox. This is vibrational. Did I go through immense emotional pain? And I want to say this, Linda, because you had asked me something before we started the show. Separate the emotion from the story. Okay. For every person, when you find yourself going through anything really big, honor the emotion without judgment. Get the anger out. Get the rage out. Get the hurt out. Get the pain out. Allow your body to feel it so it can release it and let it go. Got it. This is called conscious clearing. Honor it as an important part of the process instead of an inconvenience. As long as each person sees consciousness as an inconvenience to their life, they will be really inconvenienced. Okay? We have to basically understand the importance of all of this. The importance of conscious release. The importance of getting it out of your body so your body can raise its vibration and leave that. The suppression is what makes it. The avoidance, not wanting to deal. And so releasing the judgment of the whole thing and being open to all of this. Pay attention to your mentalities. Pay attention to your stories. They're going to tell you where you're a victim in your mind. Yeah. They're going to tell you when you're blaming somebody else. They're going to tell you where you've given your power away. They're going to tell you where you're despondent and have given up hope. They're going to tell you. The other day, I wrote about, a huge dark night coming. It's going to last. I keep seeing it lasting for the next year and a half. It's not going to be a short thing. For some collectives, mine is a day. Mine was I went through it again the other day. I haven't gone through that since my beginning, but I'm going to go through it with the collectives. When I was going through it for the day and a half, thank goodness I'm as conscious as I am and I understand what I'm going through, because at the point you just want to blow your brains out, and all day it was like, just get me off this planet. Just get me off this planet. Just get me off. Just want off this planet, because the intensity of the energy is so uncomfortable, but you got to honor it. I got up and I went to the post office and I met with people and I'm hugging them. It doesn't affect my reality and I don't believe it anymore. It's massive fear. It's massive everything. And as soon as the body clears it for Merkaba, your Merkaba will then kick back in.
Yeah.
And so it's clearing the fear, honoring the fear as an unconscious program, as an unconscious energy, as an unconscious, it's a conditioning. We've been conditioned. You're breaking through. Equate it to becoming held captive. And being a prisoner, you're breaking out of prison. Literally. And so it's important for people to understand 3D is like being held captive or being abducted, because you got a lot of abduction stuff going on, but it doesn't really matter. Equate the word you want. Once you come out of that, then you've got a whole lot of stuff to work through. You got a whole lot of stuff to clear. Your mind's really messed up because the mind's been conditioned. And so this is about breaking through all that programming and understanding how all this works, and go into that soft place, that intimate place on a soul level where you're wide open and connected and letting all that stuff fall away. But if you find yourself in the thick of something, get conscious enough to separate the emotion and the belief, the emotion and the mentality, the emotion and the story. Honor the emotion, because the moment the emotion clears, the story will start to go. You won't believe that anymore.
Right.
You won't even care. But what happens is, for the most unconscious, the emotion and the thought come together. If you separate them, you can work with them separately. Don't worry about the belief system. Clear the energy. Let yourself break down and cry. Let yourself. We didn't let ourselves experience these things, and we push it in, we push it in, we push it. And that's what the body's doing. It's fighting back with a vengeance now, and it's saying, enough's enough, I'm done. You're not going to suppress my spirit, my soul. You're not going to do this anymore. And what will happen is there's an entire rewiring and reconfiguration process that has to occur, and a recoding process in the physical body. And so the body will have to shut down. We have to pull away. We have to get away from a lot of things. The part of the reason for the overwhelm right now is it will become so overwhelming, 3D will. And I'm going to say this for a moment to make a point. It'll become so overwhelming to people will have to pull away and go off to be, they will prefer to be alone. We've never preferred to be alone in the beginning. And so what will happen is the outside will become so overwhelming, whether it be television or the internet or your own experiences.
Yeah.
Your nervous system has to rewrite itself. Your nervous has to clear. Every light body level has a different nervous system, has a different immune system. And so you'll constantly go through this. The difference is how you go through it. For me, it's just energetic. I can wake up and go, oh, I can walk around today and go, oh, my immune system's going through a complete rewrite today. It's no big deal. I can still do 12,000 things because I don't have the emotions.
Right.
Or the fear. And yes, absolutely.
Well, I hit fear the other day, collective fear. When it hits the planet, then you're going to go through fear too. The only difference is that I'm aware, oh, collectively, there's a massive ego death going down. There's a massive fear of a collective, and that was still in my body. Let me clear that.
Okay.
The only difference, I'm like, wow, I'm about to go through it was intense. And when you're going through it, it's literal, notice my words, hell. Okay. But I can go through that and have the consciousness and the awareness of it's just a program clearing my body on a cellular level. it doesn't affect my reality or my world. I don't believe it. This is the key. The human ego believes the belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Believes the programming, believes the fear, because the amount of power that the fear holds is so huge. The difference is when you work with it consciously, you understand it's just fear. Feel it, get it out, honor it, be okay with it, go through the feeling of hell, but understanding that the moment your body has cleared that, your heart's going to open, and softness and beauty and magic's going to come back in. And so this is about learning how to clear consciously and honor a process that's really important instead of fighting against the process. And so I know we're getting to the end. I can feel you, Sandra.
Yep, that's it. I just got a note. It's a perfect way to end because you gave us some great advice today. You gave us lots of wonderful instruction. We're here today with Lisa Transcendence Brown and Linda Franklin. We put a shout out to Fred, and we'll be back again next month with another episode.